Welcome to another episode of Key Factors Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Jones, and we are powered by Review My Mortgage, the largest index of mortgage programs in the nation. And lately, guys, there's been a ton of chatter about an email that most realtors received over this last week regarding a National Real Estate Association settlement. I guess you guys probably believed that they were going to appeal it and fight for your behalf. But unfortunately, they reached a settlement. So how does that change things? Who knows? There's plenty of things that are up in the air, but I'm bringing along a friend of mine, John Story, real estate coach out of Arizona, to kind of help me dissect some of this stuff and give some opinions on this. So without further ado, let me introduce John Story. John, what up, dude?
What's up, man?
How you doing?
Living life, man. Living life.
I hear you. Staying hustling, huh?
Always, every day.
So it's been a little while since we have caught up because we're both grinding, of course. And since we spoke, I've jumped back into production. The world needs more lenders that know what the hell they're doing. So I'm here to give it to them. That being the case, man, are you hearing anything? What's going on? Matter of fact, let's stop. How are things going in your neck of the woods? What you been up to?
Man, I mean, I don't really worry about it because this is what I coach on. When I put out a post and you reach out to me, I've been telling people they had to build a value in a brand. And over the years, I've always said, why would I pay you 15, 20 grand to sell my house when you don't have any systems? Every realtor is going to come back with the same thing, right? But they all have the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's a weird market to where, in real reality, why would you pay somebody 20 grand? I mean, consumers now are aware that they never had to actually pay you
Correct.
the percentage. That's just, they didn't realize that commissions were negotiable. Now they all do.
Yeah, that's true.
My phone's been blowing up with consumers that have just actually closed on homes that I know personally. And they're like, can I go back and sue my realtor?
Wow. And what is your response to something like that?
I just said, well, you signed a disclosure paper on what it was. Did they explain it? And this is where it comes into the thing. Like, they didn't have video that walked them through. They didn't have YouTube with an academy that walked them through on buying or selling. Like I preached on to my clients. They went with these, so-called, I'm the top real estate coach in the fucking world type shit.
Yep.
And all they do is about, turn and burn versus, let's slow down and build a really good system of brands. When people research you, they know what it's like to work with you. And I like it, man. I laughed about it because I called it that at some point you're not going to get paid these astronomical commissions. Like
it's
true. Listing LA and New York shit, the money they were making, people just thought that's what it was. I'm like, and
it's funny that you say that. I actually have that written down as something to talk about, which is kind of the Northeast, West versus the South, in the sense that I'm here in Texas, our average values, our average sales price is around 300. Whereas if you go to a New York, you go to a Seattle, their average sales price is around $1 million.
Yep.
And that begs the question, are they being paid too much? And in some cases, my answer to that is yes. Some cases, not enough. That being the case, what are your thoughts on that in regards to the value of what they're trying to provide? And the reason why I say that is I had a really good discussion with Ken Perry a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about how if I were to sell you a pair of shoes and they were free shoes, no problem. But then if I'm having to pay for those same shoes, but those shoes are $7,000, you better show me what the hell the value of these shoes are before I start stroking a check,
Yeah, man, it's no different. When I do my seminars, I treat them like an open house in a sense. Like, here's what I bring, here's where it is. It's weird that you say that because coming from a coaching different side of that, realtors are broke, dude.
Yeah.
They get their commissions and they're just seeing how long they can live to pay their bills. And I've been asking that, and I ask it all the time. And, for my coaching fee, which is, I would say probably the best in comparison to what you get for value, how many realtors will tell me they can't afford it?
Yeah.
Or I'm going to go to this brokerage because they give free coaching, or we're going to get on this every week mastermind bullshit that all they're doing is talking about stuff. There's no really, here's how you guide through on where it is. And they think that's where it works. And, there's too many. I stay in my own lane, bro. I'm good at what I do. I've taken clients to do over 100 plus transactions that we're doing 20.
Mm.
And people that, from 5 to 20 million, building out systems, social media, everything. Like, I just stay in my own lane, bro. Like, I've been doing this for so long. Since I was 12, I started building homes and understood land development and subdividing land and what it goes into it and the takeouts and what a lot of people are like, oh, he came from the industry of title. That's not true. I started building homes when I was 12.
Right. I remember that. Yeah.
The loan processes of everything and new build and residential resales through my stepfather. That was, a very, very smart man at the time. But, every realtor is going to think that they're worth it or I'm not going to do it. Because, prior to this, you'd hear in these forums like, oh, I had somebody wanted me to list the house for this or whatever. And they're like, I would never. Well, bitch, please, you're going to take $5 grand.
Right. Never say never or always. That's right.
Well, let's go back to, 0809 when good faith estimates changed the mortgage world. This
Absolutely.
is no different scenario than what happened then that's happening now to them. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You guys, in a sense, are a 1% origination, right?
You're exactly correct.
And I wouldn't be opposed for the real estate agents to have the 1% origination, but keep it at 1%.
Yeah.
That's why I felt that they were overpaid. Is going, coming from the title industry, we're getting paid peanuts.
Yeah, you're exactly
these guys as commission checks. And, for me as a coaching, I have to have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people in my coaching to make what they're making, which I do.
Right.
But also, I have the value in the brand. That's why people don't leave.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, everybody's going to have their take on this. I think realtors are definitely overpaid. I think, I think there are some amazing people out there that have great talent that I feel do earn the pay that they would, want to put out there in a sense.
Right.
When you go off the marketing where you said the $1 million listings or whatever it is, that's just common now. Yeah. Back in the day, everybody wanted to be a $1 million listing agent 10 years ago. Now, everybody has $1 million home,
by default. Right? That's exactly right.
But they don't put money into it. Like when you look at, like I was saying, the $1 million listing LA, they're like, hey, I spent 30 grand on marketing for this property. I know realtors that they don't spend shit. They have
they take for everything. Their iPhone.
They're paid for everything. I mean, it's going to be interesting. It's going to take a minute, but my personal thought is I didn't think the consumer was going to react as fast as they did.
Good point on that. Now, can you, I guess, go deeper into that concept in itself? Because I think that's something that we were not aware of, but of course you've got social media in addition to media. And I'm going to kind of cap this off after you're done here with something that is a little far-fetched, but something to think about. But go ahead.
Well, I recently had a friend, she bought a house, right? The house that she listed sold, obviously but she advertised it, whatever it was, and kind of had a mutual realtor that we knew, and then went on the representation of the purchasing a home. Well, they already knew the home they wanted because it was a family friend's home. And, it could be two parties where it was, but the realtor expected to make $40-something thousand on a house that they're like, dude, you just have to write a contract.
You're writing a contract. Yeah.
And the realtor still made 20 grand.
Wow.
But this person's going, well, this is interesting. The person said, can I go back and sue my realtor? Because when you look at the lawsuit that got settled, and now this got settled, now people need to really be educated. The reason that NAR settled is because they were giving direct line access to the big dog people that sell leads. And they were also doing it because realtors, and not everybody, okay, and there may be people like, oh, I've never heard of that or whatever, but this is what happened, is that when they weren't getting their 3% commission representing a buy on a listing, they were shadow blocking the listings that weren't paying that.
Yep, that's
so
exactly
their clients saying, hey, we don't need to see that. Let's see these ones because they're going to get paid more, which pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered. What goes around comes around in a sense, right?
I said that the other day and you were on the money. That's right.
I mean, people can like what I say, I don't, but guess what? I like to say on a mastermind, I'm 2-0. I predicted that Zillow was going to come out and be your competitor and never sell zip codes. Guess what they did years ago? Now I take 40%. Now you take these mega teams that are Zillow high production or cold calling production and that take 50% of a real estate agent's commissions.
Yep.
When now they're not going to get 3% or 2%. Let's just say they get 1%. So instead of making 12 or 15, let's say they made 15 grand. Now they're making 5.
Mm-hmm.
We'll split that in half. Now you're at 2,500 plus your other fees. You're going to start getting paid $1,000 to write a contract and go see these homes versus that other money. And these teams that have high astronomical overhead, even, they're going to be the first people to hurt.
Absolutely.
They can't
Yeah.
sustain it. And I know some people that have, redonkulous overhead, dude. And I've told them for forever, you got too much overhead. No, it's a team or whatever it is. And hey, I'm sorry, but in a sense, I told you so. You got to lean in me and do value.
In addition to the amount of leads that they have to bring in to feed that team that they've grown at this point. I mean, are you out there marketing to your direct book of business? Are you the ones that are buying the leads from Zillow to keep your team continuing to grow? And if so, then you're part of the reason why this is all happening.
Well, yeah. So you look at statistics, right? And in Arizona, we're the hub of where all like the iBuyer stuff starts because we're like an island, and then it goes out. So I kind of, in a sense, have a little bit better
foresight
of what has gone on and what's going to go on. But I know these big mega teams here, they may laugh and say, "Oh, he doesn't know what I'm talking about." Well, I knew what I was talking about when Zillow called you one day and said, instead of giving you 5 deals they're going to close a month and it's only $7,000, we now take 40% or 35% of your commission. Told you there too. I told people for forever, you're going to at some point have to validate why I'm paying you 15, 20 grand to represent me when, everybody else is regulated in a sense, and,
yeah.
these forums that I'm in are ridiculous. I'm already reading it like, oh, it's already started, whatever it is. It should have already been this way. Like there's no fucking way that you should have been paid the amount of money you did. And then, and that comes back to why, stop talking about your 1% and your awards. Maybe you should have talked a little bit more about how you actually bring value and help your clients like I do. Look, I'm not successful and I would still not be in business to where I am today and still scaling and doing some of the cool things I'm doing now if my stuff did not work.
Correct. And I think that leads directly to the value that you provide, the value that these realtors that are talking about their commission on social media, instead of coming back with the value. I think you said it best a while back when you mentioned anytime you're doing anything, press freaking record. You guys are having to recreate the wheel every single time you do something. Why not press record, catalog it, and put it out there for people to actually see, so that when it comes time to validate your value, you send them directly to the site or the page or what have you, where you've got your content and they know. But all the while, you've been showing them nonstop that this is your value. This is what you get when you are being hired as the realtor to represent them, whether it's on the buy side or the list side. Now, that begs the question of whether the buyer's agent is going to eventually be absorbed by the listing agent teams, because if that is the case, now, this is not saying automatically commissions are going to drop. I think a lot of the headlines are talking about the 6% commission is gone. Well, there was never really a set in stone 6%. It was almost something that was a given, but now it's in the forefront and there is no given. Now it's all negotiable. Everybody knows that it's negotiable. And I don't think that is going to go away, being that it is being publicized so much, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I already knew how to kind of transition this. I've had a few years of working on it because I've got a client in Washington and she's already been having to deal with this on a contract. They have to write differently. I just, dude, here's the problem in our industry that I see right now. There's too many chiefs and not enough Indians. Everybody, there's all these people that get on these masterminds and volume or whatever it is, and we keep talking about it and they're saying all these things, but at the end of the day, dude, it's an interesting persona that people are getting misinformation,
Absolutely.
And,
so keep going. I'm just,
they're just getting, you. You went there and then gone.
He was like, oh shit, did he leave? No.
All these big teams or whatever to say the same thing. Oh, we've got, our conversion, and we've got an, email campaign, and we've got leads. Okay, well, let's focus. Let's do this one statistic that people are not aware of. They did a study prior to 2023 launch, and there was 185 million leads that real estate agents bought in 2022.
Yep.
130 million came by the same company, Zillow.
Yep.
Okay. There was about 5.6 to 5.7 real estate transactions, residential resale in the United States of America. Do the math.
Where the hell did all those? That's right. Zillow's making the money.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing, is because why do people have to be on teams to buy leads or get Zillow leads? if you actually use social media to the benefit and created what I coach on. Like, dude, if you have 500 friends on social media that are not realtors, now here's the problem. The other thing, realtors have FOMO, bro, fear of missing out. They can't not be friends with their colleagues. Fuck that. Okay. Algorithms are important. And when you're friend requesting, engaging, like, dude, here's the thing. I'm going to smash on some dude. People put these people up on pedestals because they have social media, right? Oh, they're getting all these likes. I'm like, that doesn't mean they're closing deals.
Right.
There's a person that proclaims himself and I don't know his name or whatever it was, but he was on all these showcases and all this. Look at his content. It's going viral. He closed 7 deals in a year.
I think I know who you're talking about, but
I'm not going to say it because he's not even worth getting
no need. You're exactly correct.
But these are the people that are giving real estate agents advice. Look, I have a formula literally in my coaching. Here's a entire checklist. If you do this and build it, you will do 100 transactions a year. Why? The people that do it and follow that. You know what?
Right.
You know what the wording that I get back from realtors are when I tell them about how to do this? Their first thing is, that's a lot of work.
and it's funny that is the response when the answer or the rebuttal to what they just said is, don't you get paid 3% commission? I mean, it's full circle of what we're talking about right now and what they're attempting to fight against, but yet most of them don't know what or why it has been done. And I guess I don't know if it bothers me or if it confuses the hell out of me as to how little many realtors don't know about this situation that's happening right now.
They don't. Well, because here's the thing: there's too many moms clubs and dads clubs that are trying to be real estate agents.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to do this part-time along with my other job and make that. And you know what? It just disrupted the industry because they're taking those 2-3 deals a year that would go to somebody else that actually does treat it. But I don't think a lot of realtors in a sense treat it as a job. If they did, they wouldn't be going to all these mastermind and events. Like, we're going to learn and let's tag all these realtors and get these realtors on stage and let's have the lending side and the title side. Let's put these top producers on a panel that are literally, in a sense, lying to you. Because, if I was a realtor and I was going to these things, the first question I'd have is, what's your monthly overhead?
Mm-hmm. Because
what they're not understanding is that at a minimum, it's $20,000 a month for these people to run their team. A minimum, guys. I know people that have $150,000 a month before they make $1, but how many realtors really have an extra $20,000 a month, $250,000 a year just before they make $1?
Correct.
And that's what's wrong is people don't do it. Look, I tell people, like, my overhead is very low, and I run my company with 0 employees. I'm extremely efficient. I'm relatable to a normal person.
Correct.
And I'm playing golf all the time. I'm with my kids. I'm enjoying my life, but I just think it's like a circus show. Yeah. It's like you got a bunch of people, and I'm not saying I think they do great. They're making their money, but they obviously don't know how to run a business if their overhead is that high already.
Well, I think you've got a great point there. I don't think they treat it as a business.
No,
they treat it as a job, not a career. They treat it as a job, not something that can be scaled, can be fine-tuned to the point that there may be some teams out there that do very, very well under this new regime.
I think they're going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. But it's the same thing. It all starts with the people they're getting their advice from when they start and want to scale up, right? Because these people say we collaborate or whatever it is, right? And then a lot of these real estate coaches, when you see them put them out there, all it is like numbers. So they're like, and I get it. You got to spend money to make money. But spend money on the people that actually built your company. These teams are spending money, okay, on people they don't know, leads, right? They don't do client appreciations. They don't do giveaways like I talked about. They barely touch their clients. Look, I have people that were my agents. I haven't heard from them.
Right.
I see them on social media, but you think I get like hey, we got a cool raffle or a client appreciation event going when I made them on one of my sales years ago, $20,000. You know what I've gotten from them? Jack shit.
Nothing. Wow.
But they want to brag that they got all this thing. No, because there's 3 tiers of how we do business. We've got our past client, our present, and our future. Okay. They focus so little and they say that, agents, I run my business off a lot of SOI. Well, then why aren't you closing more business if you've been in it 20 years?
Good point.
I know people that were did a ton of volume. They didn't want to listen. And I told them straight up to their face, I go, you're just not coachable. Well, yeah, I am. I just don't, want, I go, yeah, you're too numbers driven with the people that you're around because you see this limelight that they're going to do all these things. But I'm telling you, bro, these teams that are out that were solely based on Zillow leads and all these things,
Transaction.
these agents,
Yep.
these agents under them aren't going to wake up until they realize their paycheck's going to go there. Because Zillow can't go to a client like, oh, it's 2%. No, they're going to negotiate the deal.
That's right.
And I don't think, they're saying that the sellers are going to control it or listings are going to control it. No, we still control it, but the consumers have always been in charge. This is interesting. The consumers have always been in charge and was always been able to do that. They didn't know that they were fully in charge.
Right. I agree. In addition to the uproar of social media being this glamour position of a realtor, you're the ones making all of the money. And I think I had spoken about it about a week ago. And I've got a really good discussion with some top agents, one listing agent, one a broker of a mass group, and another that is built his business on rebating customers. So we're going to have different perspectives on that. But the idea behind building their value, showing the value to the consumer, it got put on the back burner by showing what you can buy with what you actually closed, essentially being a top agent. And I believe that has a lot to do with why these consumers are going, fuck these realtors. We're going to go after them because we don't have the ability to make that kind of money. We don't have the ability, when in all true reality, they weren't making a ton of money. They were just flashing and doing the whole, what is that called? The clout chasing, essentially, and thinking they were going to get business from that. And maybe they did, but it was in a time where everybody was getting business. It wasn't your post that got you more business. Right. it was the ponds that you were in, absolutely. Yeah. If you fish in a barrel, you're going to find some fish.
The post I'm talking about, and so does everybody else, that one where it says, and it's like so long with all what a realtor does, blah, 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 and now that's coming out because of what it is.
Yep.
Hey, welcome to being an entrepreneur, Karen.
That's right.
I have the same problems that you do. You don't see me going, this is what it's like in the cost of being a real estate coach. No, it's my job. I knew what I was stepping into. I knew that I was stepping away from basically, in a sense, a corporate job because I didn't want to work for somebody, neither did they. But at the end of the day, this is called, you now have to run a business in a sense. And it's just weird, man. I mean, people are going to have their own perception of what they think it's going to be. I think it's great for the industry because I do think that people are overpaid. And I didn't agree with that when people were having their home prices go up to what they purchased and they earned and they put money into it and fix up the backyards and stuff, that a realtor is now going to get a percentage of that. So they don't understand it. Like every dollar you put in, just know. So let's just say your house payment's, $3,000 a month. Well, just know your realtor is taking 3% of that every month. Like how does that make sense?
Wow.
Like think of it as that, like, hey, I worked my ass off in a job 9 to 5 in a cubicle to save up $100,000 and I'm going to put it in my backyard. But hey, guess what? The realtor gets 3% of that there. So just know $3,000 of that $100,000 you put anything, you might as well just give your realtor a check. That's what's happening.
Wow. And you know what? That is such a lame.
And these realtors don't think of it that way.
Right.
Like why? So the price went up. So I need to pay you more. Okay, because when we bought the house, it was this price, and now 5 years later, I want to sell. And sure, it went up a couple $100,000, but that's my money. That's not your money. Mm-hmm. You didn't make my house payment and vacuum it and do the upgrades and the upkeep and shit. Now I'm paying you.
Yeah.
So why don't we just go back to, hey, this house was bought for $150,000. Okay, your commission's $45,000. Dude, I just think.
Now
I like these 1% shops.
From your perspective, right there, in that line of questioning, that line of thought process from a seller's mindset, what would a realtor be able to combat with that? Because that is the truth. I mean, all this money I put into the house, value's gone up. It's time to sell it. I'm reaching out to the realtor that helped me before. How are they going to justify what you just articulated? Does that make sense?
Yeah, but the consumer wasn't educated. And just think, okay, now we need to understand this. it's not just the seller that's going to pay for it. The buyer is paying for it too, because of how that seller represents them or the buyer represents them. So it is two parties. Just like when people are like, oh, it's a buyer's market and it's a seller's market. There's no such thing, because you need both parties to represent a transaction to come through. So when you say that stuff, it's totally false.
Yeah.
Okay. But that comes back to value and brand. But it also is like, dude, like, put yourself in their situation.
Mm-hmm. No,
Realtor, look, I tell people all the time, I go, hey, let me give you an analogy. 20 grand a year to get coached by me one-on-one. But I will guarantee, because that's what I can say that, right?
Right.
But now let's just say that it's 20 grand, but every time we get on a call, it's the same thing. I don't follow up with you. Our call's kind of all over the board. I don't have the training academy that I told you we're going to walk through. I don't know how to do YouTube and statistical things. That's why I have all these people help me. Well, isn't that how a brokerage really runs? Like a realtor runs their shit, because they don't know. They don't have YouTube. They don't have systems. They don't understand. They don't follow with their past clientele. And when I tell people that, immediately I said, if I don't have all that stuff, would you pay me or would you fire me? Even for my subscription fee that was small. And they're like, I'd fire you. Go, now think about it. Do you have all that? No. Think about it.
Yeah. Then why are you able to justify your 3%, 2%, any percentage if you can't give that value, the basic value that it takes to thrive in this career path? Man, I think you hit it right on the money there.
Here's the feedback I get. I have experience. They need this. This is look at my listing packet that everybody else has. Look at my marketing plan that everybody else does. The only reason they're going to pay you more is you. Like, you have to. What do you have to value besides that you're a realtor? Because you're not the only realtor.
Right.
You're not the only person that's going to represent them. You may not be the only realtor that they know.
Correct.
And when you go into a room and you talk about, hey, this person's going to do it for $5, well, they're just a discount person, so they're not going to really do all the things. Really? Because who's to say? Because you don't have the shit built out that I talk about anyways. And people thought I was crazy, but like, where's your buyer's academy, your sellers academy? Like, how come I have to keep calling you to get a question answered when you should be proactively having marketing campaigns that go out to where here's the it's an appraisal time. Here's a video that walks you through if an appraisal comes in, low, high. And here's what we do. Here's how an addendum works. Here's an earnest money deposit. Explain what it is, how we would get it refunded, how we won't. So we're not disputing it, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, these are the things that realtors don't have. No, they have it up here. They do. Yep. They know it, but it's nowhere to be found.
Right.
But when you say, let's get them all in a room and be like, why would I pay you? You're going to find out all these collaboration people all have the same thing.
Yeah. And I don't think that time in the industry is a justification for any of that. Matter of fact, over the weekend, I had a listing agent reach out to me on one of my approval letters. It was a VA buyer. And her first thing to me was, you guys are asking for $7,500 in closing cost. My sellers say that they didn't have to pay any closing cost when they bought their home. So they're saying that there is no closing cost with a veteran. And I went, okay, wait a minute, ma'am, how long have you been doing this? Like, can you look back at other transactions that you did to tell me that one of your VA or all of your VA buyers didn't have any closing cost? Instead of listening to your sellers, you be the expert and let them know that every transaction has closing costs, period, whether you're a veteran or not. And jumping off the call, I look it up and I'm going, wow, she's been in the business since 2019, before everything went up. So it's like, it doesn't matter how long you've been in the industry. Right. Matter of fact, I would even go as far as to say it doesn't matter how many transactions you've done. Because let's face it, you can get through plenty of transactions just going through the motions, especially when it was 2020, 21. You were writing a contract, getting it over and on to the next. There was no process of let's make sure that we go through all of our checks and balances so that I can prove my worth to you, and you're going to send me referrals as soon as we're done with this thing.
Well, it comes back to that they had 3 years of creating bad habits. 2020 and 20, whatever, things are just flying off the shelf. People have the consumer had FOMO of like, I need to buy now or whatever, right? So we but we install the fear in people and then they don't understand. But this one is actually getting pushed out more from the real estate social media, but also the news. And then you look at 2023 was the lowest transactions that had been in, how many years, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then how come my client that closed 100 deals the year before still closed over 100 deals?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
My systems, my touch campaign, my value, that I coach on that helps people. And it's just, dude, it's the lack of inconsistency is why people are not successful. Like they don't, I don't call in our household chores, we call them critical tasks.
Okay.
So I'm training my kids as an adult. You're going to have critical tasks you need to do every day to be happy. Number one, be happy. I think that's a lost thing, but like you got to feed, do your chores and whatever, because when you're older, we become adults and we live in a really weird society to where people that are actually our clients, not per se me, but per se like an actual consumer that's going to build is that, look, man, they're told how they're going to live their life, the cars they drive, the lifestyle they're going to build all off the job that they chose. And that job also describes the home that they can buy. It may not be their dream home, but it's something that they're going to be proud of. And instead of us making them this high-end person, we make it about us like, oh, look, I have 4 in a contract and 2 sold and whatever. But you still didn't learn. The number one thing is your clients are all asking you questions and you're not building systems to be able to be proactively ready for the next buyer, the next seller, the consumer that's coming to your page going, how do I get started? What it's like to build? What's it like to sell? And I think that's just a lost art that we have in our industry is that we pay too much attention to these people going, oh, let's be on this panel. Just go do your job, man. Like you're not a public speaker, go do your job. Like, why do you need to be on a panel? And most of them are all full of shit. Why do you think they don't have me come to these panels anymore?
Because you told too much truth. That's what I think.
They don't like to be, dude.
The first time I met you, you were given that presentation to RD Realty, and I was sitting further back, and it was like, okay, this guy knows his shit, and he's not scared to let you know that you're doing great or you suck and you need to step your shit up. And instead of somebody just saying that, you've built something that backs it up, that says, okay, you need to do better because your shit sucks right now, but here is what you can do in order to get better. Now it's up to you to go and do those things. It's always going to be up to that individual to help move their career path forward, to justify their commission, to streamline their process.
See, that's the thing. Justify. That's all realtors. I'm going to justify. Should already be there.
Yeah, it should.
Why do you have to justify it? Should already be there.
Yeah.
And that's their mentality.
Yeah, because it has been inherent this entire time. But now
it was just a norm. It was just a norm that you were going to get paid that. And I told people it's not going to be the norm. I mean, and when I was at that group, they didn't like it. They're like, well, you notice. I'm like, I ain't changing the fuck I am, bro. I'm going to stay successful. And I said, and I had somebody the other day that was in a class or saw me online or whatever it was, and it was a realtor. They're like, wow, man, like you're really direct and to the point, and like I don't know if I can handle that. And I said, well, apparently you're not direct enough because you've only closed 3 deals in the last year. I'm still making my money. And I said, I go, did you ever Google me and look up my reviews and everything like that? Every one of my reviews, every single one of them is a 5-star. Even though I lost because Google's, they had a screw up and a glitch a little while ago, but every single one of my reviews says he's no bullshit, no sugarcoating. But if you actually want to build a business of consistency to be happy, every one of them says that they're happy. All of them say they're getting deals, they're killing it, right?
Yeah.
But that all starts with he is no nonsense. Why? Because, dude, we don't have all the time in the world to go do things. I'm not going to take 20 minutes to hand out awards.
No, you're on your
job, live a really good life, learn to be happy, which I think most people aren't, and just have fun doing it.
Absolutely.
This should be an experience for your clients, not an experience for you talking about you.
That's right. Talking about you. That's exactly correct.
It's about people that help you. Like, I'm not in business because I'm good at what I do. I just know what I'm good at. I can help people be better at what they do and realize that, guess what? You can make it in this industry, but you have to be committed.
And let's face it, there is too much fluff, not just in this industry, but in all industries. The concept of being direct and transparent and leading with what your value is and how it's going to portray to others and how they can get into the same value proposition to run their train as far and fast as they possibly can is something that a realtor should gravitate towards, but instead some are turned off by that. In my opinion, it's like, well, what is your mindset then? What did you get in this business to do? You
Right.
know, you're,
I mean, they'll love all the other big entrepreneurs and go to their events and read their books. Like I tell people all the time, I'm like, let's take example to 75 hard.
I like that. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so let's take the example, and I'll tell people will be like, oh, dude, I just completed the 75 hard. Now I've done it twice. Okay. I also used to compete, which I think is harder than the 75 hard.
It is consistency.
Okay?
Absolutely.
But I ask people that are realtors, I'm like, what'd you learn? Oh, I can do this. I'm like, okay, well, tell me the process you leading up to wanting to do the 75 hard. I wanted to create consistency, whatever. Okay, I think that's great. Did you follow the steps? So like, what do you mean? Well, Andy has a podcast that he wants everybody to listen to that talks about the explanation of the 75 hard. Then I said, well, did you order his book? What do you mean, what book? The Power List, where it talks about, did you win the day? Did you not win the day? Did you take the 5 things on the list after 29 days? Did you substitute it? Did you do whatever it was? I'm glad you drank your gallon of water and your 2 workouts and read 10 pages, whatever. It was teaching you that you can't even follow simple instructions on how to begin a concept.
Yeah, you thought you were doing
all of listen to me.
And it was
all of them at the 75 hard post. Here's what my body looked like. Here's what it looks like after. Not here's what my brain looks like.
Yes,
here's what it looks like after. Going, dude, no shit. You're going to lose weight when you can't eat out and
you start moving,
drink, and you have to have a routine, and you're working out twice a day and drinking just water versus a beer or tequila and not having donuts and shit. No shit, you're going to lose weight. But the functionality was for 75 days you can be consistent. I said, well, why don't you do 365 hard? That's hard.
I mean, you already started it. Apparently, keep the train rolling.
That's why he created phase 2.
Yeah, you are on the money. You are on the money with that, and I believe it. I have not done the 75 hard yet, but I do understand it. I believe in the philosophy of it. I understand that it is more than just let's lose weight. No, let's change your lifestyle. Let's change your mindset. Let's put you in a position to where once you're done with this, you can choose to continue, but hopefully what you learn from this, you can apply towards your everyday life and business and family life and everything that you do. I'm a huge fan of Andy. And think that he's going to go very, very far. And I'd love to see what he has to say about this concept, because I think he'd just call them all a bunch of little bitches, to be honest.
Yeah, but I mean, it's funny that so let's flash back to when I was at an event with you. You know what I get now? I would say over the last 9 months lately. Thank you. Thank you for being. I leave now events versus people being like, fuck that guy, because it was the best years they ever were. Right? They were going to sell, but now people are like, dude, thank you. I needed to hear that today. You made me feel like I have the talent. You explained it in a way. I'm like, yeah, but I've always explained it that way. Right. The difference is that you're not making the money that you used to. Your skill set with all this information you took from people didn't pan out to work the way that you wanted it to. But the third thing, and this is where I can say I made a switch from probably when I met you to whatever, are you happy?
Good point.
Because when I was traveling all over the world and making more money than I do now, and I do very well, I wasn't happy, dude. I was a lost soul. Like I was the epitome of the realtors on stage getting petted, take pictures with me. I'm flying here. And you got to have this. You got to have these aha moments, dude. And I think it's really important if people want to understand this podcast, who I am. 22 to 23 days of the month, I was flying and not home in my own bed. And I have a 13, 6, and 5-year-old. And I wanted to know how to pivot that. So now I have more one-on-ones that I take, and I now do broker packages that are launched this year. Gotcha. My subscription is not obviously as high, but you know what? I'm making more money.
Right.
In a sense when I pivoted, but now I'm gone possibly only 8 days of the month, and I'm home 22. So I flip-flopped it. Well, that should tell you that I know how to run a business to keep my ROI sustainably high. Now, when I was gone 22 days of the month, I was obviously working a lot more. Right. Now I've got it down. Now these are where I make my money, not social media, whatever, but the money I make takes 45 hours a month. So when they want to talk about systems,
I would also go as far as to say that the journey that you took doing the road shows and whatnot was a necessity to get to where you were, to where you are now, because it was a phase that you had to go through, and you being the person that you are, instead of just going through that and at the end of it going, okay, let me take a break and then let me get back on that, you went, no, I've already built my brand, my reputation. I've built my exposure. Now let me leverage that. But in order to leverage it, let me put my business plan together. Let me put together the phases in which I'm going to generate revenue. I'm going to be able to allocate time towards these individual people, groups, etc., to keep that train moving. And eventually you'll have to do maybe another road show down the road to increase that business again. Then you'll get back to what you're doing because you've now created an equation that works.
Well, it's like your area. Do you know how many people have asked me when I'm coming back? I said, when somebody flies me out, we set up an event. And I do that. You asked me that. When am I coming back? Well,
like, when you getting your ass
whenever you want to send me out. I mean, I'm flying everywhere. I'm still doing all the things that I used to do. It's just, I would say too, I'm more conscientious about what I put out for content to make people know I like to let them grind. But like last week, I played golf a couple times. I didn't put it out there. I put it out there, but you know what I mean? It's
intentional.
I think we're just in this world where we go to these events and we see these people like, look, dude, that's why they're the top 1%.
Yeah.
That's why 99% of the world with what they do pays for them to be the 1%.
That's exactly right.
Let's be real. Okay. And it's interesting that some realtors will be like, oh, I'm top 1%. And I pull their numbers. I'm like, you made 150 grand. How the fuck are you top 1%?
Yeah.
It's because the state said that they were, or their awards with the brokers. It's just, dude, this is just people should wake up, man, and really realize like you got to run a business. You got to do things correct. You got to, if I was a realtor, I'd tell them, I'm like, why are you joining these teams that are going to take 50% now? And especially where the market's changing and they're not going to get the commissions. I think that's going to be one of the biggest shifts.
Yeah, definitely.
Is these big teams that have, 100 agents on them or 50 or 60. There's several of them here. And you know what? They're all Zillow driven.
You're correct.
I mean, here's the thing. Here's crazy, dude. There's a title company here locally that's owned and it's got an investor of one of the biggest realtors here. That's a big real estate team. And I'm obviously not going to name the name, but these other realtors are closing with that, not understanding like you're feeding another giant.
Right.
If they knew that, I'm sure there'd be a lot of people that probably not work with them anymore.
True. And I
wouldn't work with a company going, I'm sending you my business. You're making money. And now the guy that owns most of it is collecting money, not only off my transaction, but now this transaction too.
That's right. And I do think that the title industry is next. How long it will take?
I mean, they've tried to regulate it. They try to do that with print and, they were giving away. They always find a workaround, a third party or whatever it's going to be.
Sense. Yeah.
It's interesting. All these title companies and the big ones, they act like we got all these value or we got whatever. If you really did, you wouldn't have to pay somebody to be your business partner in a sense.
That's true.
Because each part of the transaction has a different entity, whether it's from the buyer listing, the mortgage, the home inspector, the home warranty company, the title. And I think it'd be interesting if they regulated that in a sense. I mean, I've got some things in the work where people want to white label my coaching and be able to offer that as a value add, and they would just pay me as like a consultant. Because for me, I'm a third party
within their organization.
Anybody, yeah. I mean, and that would be smart because let's just say you got 100 agents that you put in there. The overhead on it's not that much, but let's just say you get 20 more deals a month.
That's right.
5 deals more a month on the loan side is huge.
Yeah.
Astronomically good, right? But
absolutely.
You look at it as a whole, like the that part, and they always have flipped it or found a way. But it was interesting. I was doing a class the other day, and I love the guy I was doing a class with, but he's like, we only have this app and we buy all this shit and our company buys up everybody, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, my wife has the same app when she works with her stuff. And he's like, no, they don't have it. I'm like, does it do this? I'm like, dude, literally, like, trust me, you're not the only one that's got it. Like, you can gather the information, and it's like the information you're giving you're telling me that you're the only one that has the information of who's getting ready to sell or buy. Well, they get that from analytical data through IDX, right?
Right. That's right.
But you just gave it to 20 other realtors.
Yep.
And plus the homeowner not only knows.
On the bottom, it says core logic.
Yeah, and at the bottom of it, it's like, okay, well, that's great that 20 people have it. But then also, guess what? These people already know iBuyer campaigns. They probably already have a friend or two that are in the real estate industry. So now that's your sales proposition
and your bread and butter. Yes.
Well, coming from a title industry, okay, so let's talk about that. Okay, let's talk about how title doesn't really have good fucking coaching. None of them do.
Right.
I'm a good coach. I came from that industry that knows that you need to teach people to do open houses, just listed, farming, social media. I have it. How come I'm the only one in history that's built what I built?
Right.
And these other people built companies and sold them because they were put on stages by the Fortune 500 companies that paid 50 grand for you to be on stage. They didn't earn it. They were paid to be on stage.
Correct.
And it's an interesting persona that we have of, you don't see me complaining going, oh, I want 3%. I want 10% of all your guys' commission that closes with me as a client.
Could you imagine?
What's the difference in them making? So I just want $1,200 if you're making 12 grand. You're mad at it? You got your 12 grand, right?
That's right.
Oh, you don't want me to take $1,200 from your payment, but yet you're okay to gouge. See, this is where it doesn't make sense.
And I think that what you just said right there is something that should be asked or at least brought up to every realtor that is gaining value from something like coaching, something like a tool that they're using. If they were to flip that tool to becoming a percentage of their commission, would they still use the tool? Well, the answer should be yes, because they used the tool that got them the business, but then they're too good to go, I don't want to give up any of my commission for it. Wait a minute.
Right. So let me give you an analogy of that, of like the commissions of where it was. So I had a client ask me about one-on-one. I'm like, it's $1,500 a month. You get 3 scheduled calls, you get a mastermind, you get access to me, plus all the other training, plus whatever, and I'll help you scale it out. And I said, just think, you do one deal a month more and it's 15 grand or whatever. Just think, I'm only taking 10%. I go, but let's talk about the brokers you work with. They take 10% or whatever, or maybe not, maybe it's flat fee. I don't know. Just hypothetically, right?
Right.
I said, just think, now transaction 2, 3, 4, and 5 are 100% profit because you already covered me. But the response was, this is crazy. And most of them will say this, well, that's a lot of money to pay. I go, but whoa, you want 15 grand to sell a house?
Mm-hmm.
You want 15 grand to have a buyer? But I'm really confused. I go, so what you're telling me is that you are a liability because you want to invest $1,500 a month into you. So you're a liability is what you're literally telling me.
Basically.
You're a liability to your own self.
Wow.
And they looked at me and they're like, I never really heard it that way. I go, well, think about it. Every investing that you do into your company is to enhance your company. Now, that I've taken people to do astronomical amount of business, and where it is, they're like, well, yeah, I would agree. Okay. So I'm not a liability to you.
Right.
The reason that you're feeling you're a liability is because now you're going to get called out on your bullshit of laziness more in depth versus my subscription fee versus the one-on-one or a consultation fee or whatever it is. But that's where they're at. They're like, we had a mastermind like last month. We talked about the academy to build it out. And I said, how many people got it done? And they just looked at me. I said, dude, you guys have had 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
What did you do? Like I go and then I flipped it on them. Like, can you imagine if you guys wanted me to put together something and here we are 30 days and now we go to 60 days and I still haven't done it yet? What would you do? You all would fire me.
That's right.
So why is it okay for you to push out into the public that they need to pay you all this money, but yet you've had a month to get your shit together and a lot of things and you didn't get it done? Now, I would say 80+% of them are almost done with it, but there were people that weren't. And it's the 80-20 rule.
That's
people don't want to hear it, but hopefully people, when they listen to this, really take this fucking makes sense. I need to really figure this out. I need to stop looking at my clients and going, how much money am I going to make to pay my bills versus how much can I take to put back into my business? But my business is what? Okay. If I was to ask you, what are your business entities? You and your clients that have already paid you.
Absolutely.
And people are taught by coaches and other people to go spend money on what?
On bullshit most of the time.
People that aren't people that they have no fucking clue who they are. Versus if you build the people, that's like
the relationship.
That's like working
relationships.
Working for the company you work now. And instead of you getting a paycheck, they just give it out to some random person. That's really how real estate agents run their business. And they wonder why.
No, you're on the money. As a matter of fact, you said something at the beginning of this that you've got realtors that are going, well, our commissions could be cut by all of this stuff, and I don't think I can afford coaching. To me, that's almost the time that you need coaching so that you can double down on what it is that you thrive in, what you actually make money in. Don't you want to get better at what you actually pay the bills with, right?
Well, yeah. Well, it's interesting because I think the newer agents that got in there and they saw those couple of years that were good, they just thought it was going to go. Like one of my buddies that helps me a lot is Brad Lee. Okay. Right? If people know Brad Lee. Bradley's no bullshit. He's just like me. He says it how it is. It could give a shit less, but he goes, here's what's crazy, man, is that when the market's good, they need a coach more than anything because the market's not going to always stay that way. If you study history of real estate, it's always up and down, just like rates, where they talk about rates, dude.
Right.
Rates in 1980 something were down to 3%, and then a couple of years later they're at 10, 11. I know a lot of people when they bought their first home, it was 12 or 13%.
Right.
You know, but what it is people are buying real estate on how they purchase cars. And when you look at people that purchase cars, most of them don't put the down payment to cover the tax and licensing.
You're right.
Now they're already upside down on the car in a sense, and once you drive it off the lot, it's now a depreciating value. Would you agree?
I 100%.
Homes are an appreciating value.
Correct.
Right? But you don't see the car salesman going, when they come back to trade it in, going, all right, well, now I'm going to take this. And they're like, it's a depreciating value. They don't hammer them again to resell them. They're going, where can I find the best possible solution to your problem of getting you into a car and getting you unburied in a sense? But just remember,
right.
but we don't, as a real estate agent, invest into that kind of like perception of what we're really trying to do. Like, real estate's always been an appreciating value.
Mm-hmm. You're exactly correct.
It's not like cars that are depreciating, or our shoes, once we wear them and wear them out too out, what's a depreciating value?
Yep.
We are in an economy of, for us as real estate agents and professionals, of going, we always can appreciate our value of our money to make more.
Mm-hmm.
But are we truly investing into the value of building a better business to service the people that actually have built our company? And instead you listen to these panels about, oh, well, let's go do this, whatever. I teach people, look, man, when you get a client, you got to go find their people of people, because those are your people now.
That's right.
And instead they don't do the onboarding. They don't do a private group. They don't have a YouTube academy. They don't follow up with thank you cards. They don't have the touch points of what the clients are. They're not doing client appreciation events. They make it a theatrical production about them, like, oh, look at me. Oh my gosh, we close X amount of volume. Well, I know people that close a lot of volume, but when their return on their, let's just say they made 200 grand and they 18% of return, that's not a lot of money.
You're correct. You are correct. And all those things that you're talking about, I call them needle moving activities.
Right.
It's kind of like the Bible, so to speak.
Needle.
Go ahead.
I said, yeah, just move the needle.
That's exactly correct. Move the needle. You either need to do more of it, less of it. But there are a couple of instrumental things to your business. Open houses, that will always work. It stands the test of time. How many open houses are you going to do? Thank you cards. How many are you going to do? And there's plenty of realtors out there that didn't partake in any of this stuff and closed a ton of business. And those are going to be the ones that are going to be hurting because they didn't deepen the relationships with those individuals that they were able to help and show whatever value they could to. So that being the case, John, I'm going to throw something up on the screen. It's an article, and I want to see what your response would be to a consumer coming to you. Let's say if you were the realtor seeing this. And here it is. Roughly 30 billion could be slashed from real estate agents' commission. Fed economists pose solution to the anomaly in the American housing market. If a consumer, this being Yahoo Finance, right front and center of damn near every consumer that jumps on the internet in the morning, brings this to you and says, well, what does this mean?
Means that we've been overpaid. We've been overpaid. We took it as that we were all the just the listing John story of Arizona, and we lost who we were as a person. And it was all about the money versus the consumer. Because if it was about the consumer, I would have built my company to not have to worry about it, to be like, hey, dude, I've always been a flat fee. I've always done this. I've always brought the value. Like, I have the Buyer Academy 101 that's going to walk you through. I have the Sellers Academy 101. And let me tell you how that works, because I have clients that have that now, and they'll go to agents or people that come into their open houses. And I know people don't like this, but they don't have the buyer agreement contract signed. And they're like, hey, does your agent have this? They're like, no. Do they have this? No. Hey, give me your phone number. Let me text you an academy real quick that's going to walk you through and educate you a little bit more about what you're dealing with, versus they just think, well, and that's interesting because a consumer will go educate themselves a lot about purchasing a car and do a lot of research, but they trust the value that we're going to be that person. And I think where that was is, if it was me, I'd explain, look, I agree. And I understand your viewpoint. And I understand there's some confusion of what's going on, but I will agree that we have been overpaid. We took it as an irresponsible of like, grandma constantly giving us $50 a month. Remember back in the day when you get the card and you knew immediately what you're going to spend it on, and burned a hole in your pocket?
Right.
That's what real estate agents did. They just kept burning a hole in their pocket and burning. Finally, it's caught up to them this last week. And instead of slowing down and building systems of the value, I would go to my clients and I'd be like, hey guys, like, look, here's where we're at. Like, this is great news for everybody. Honestly, it's going to get rid of a lot of people that were doing a disservice in our industry, that just looked at you as a transaction. You know me personally, I've always looked at you as the greatest entity to me because I'm nowhere without you. Nothing's changing in our relationship, but with a lot of other consumers or friends or people that you might know in the industry, it is going to change for them because they don't have what I built out. They don't have the systems of where it is. But this goes along for the coaching world for me as well. That could be the same viewpoint as a coaching because they don't have training platforms. They don't understand social media. All coaches coach on what? Cold calling, buying, leading scripts.
That's right.
And running ads. I don't.
You're exactly correct.
So it's the same version. Does that make sense?
It sure does.
To go, yeah, you know what? I can understand where there's confusion, but guess what? There never should have been confusion because you always had the right to choose.
Right.
And how I would have always handled it if I was a realtor is going, and this is where I talk about that one client. I sold my house and I brought the buyer and she still took 3% for me on the buy side.
Wow.
It was a neighbor around the corner that was renting. I changed how they did all their marketing, all their flyers, did everything up, had my house, whatever, ready to go and whatever. And it sold like within the day.
Right.
But I knew how to market. I knew where it was, and it was a renter. And I go, how do you justify getting 3% on when I brought the buyer? Because I knew the neighbor. Well, I just go out and did my job. I'm like, I'm the one that designed the flyers.
I did your job.
A company time that you had never done. I'm the one that put them in the box. I'm the one that got my house ready to stage and shit like that. You did some professional photos that cost you $500.
Yeah.
And you wanted to make $18,000. And this was, obviously 8 years ago when my house was sold for $318. And I'm like, dude, you want that? I'm like, so when I went to go buy my next home, guess who didn't represent me?
Not her, not him, not her.
Crazy. Because when I bought the home, even the person, he goes, I'm just going to do it for 1%. And I'm like, really? Like, I was shocked. Okay. Even though the where I bought a new build, they were giving them, he gave me 2 back of the points. It's like, dude, there's no reason why a realtor should be paid as much. He goes, you went and found the home. You went and did all this stuff. See, what we as real estate industry professionals don't understand, dude, your client's already been researching and has done 80+% of the work, and they're going to come to you. Why? Because every time they get on the phone with a buyer agent or whatever it is, hey, I know how many bedrooms, how many baths, here's what I've been looking, here's some things here's some price points. Well, how do you know that? Well, ZillowandRealtor.com have that, right? So they already have done so much of the legwork, and we act like, oh, we found them their dream home. No, you didn't, you dumbass. They already found it prior to fucking showing them homes. Like,
yeah,
let's call a spade a spade.
Let's call a spade that's exactly correct.
They've already been looking online and knew what they wanted before even calling you. They just think they need you. In real reality, you cut yourself out of the market because you're not doing it. You know what I mean? Like, that's what people understand. It's my buddy Pat Hickey that's been a car industry. He goes, real estate's just like cars, bro. They research it before they get here. That's why they know if they're going to drive a Ford, a Chevy, a Maserati, a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, and it goes off affordability, right?
That's right. That's exactly correct. Wow.
That way,
that's some act right for most. It really is. We're coming to a close here at the end, top of the hour. John, dude, it's always good to catch up with you. That's some great insight. 100%. I'm hoping that agents take this and consume this the right way, because I don't think that your intentions here are to call agents shit or say that they don't have value. You're trying to show them how to bring value, how to bring 100%. That value to light, how to display that value moving forward, because most have not already. They've been going through the motions and sleepwalking through the industry, so to speak.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you want to add before we cap this thing off?
I mean, just slow down, pay attention to your clients that are actually making you money. Stop buying into this bullshit of people that are telling you in the industry that they're going to change your life, whatever it is. You change it, you build systems. Obviously, I know how to structure that with a low overhead. And that's what I talked about, is that we just need to pay attention more. Is that, we need to treat it how we would want to be treated. And that's why I built my coaching. That's why I have it to where it's lower price than what people told me to do it. And I said, well, the reason is I want to help people. I truly want to help people stay in the industry and whatever. People are like, oh, well, you've got all this. Well, yeah, but I charge a very small fee for my subscription to help a lot of people. And guess what? The messages that I get where people are like, I was going to be out of the industry and I made an extra 50, 60 grand this year to do things. I was happy. That's what, dude, my process is the same process as them. They just need to switch their mindset a little bit more and realize that this is not a bad thing. This is great. It's going to get rid of a lot of people that don't do their job correctly. And I think obviously everybody has a talent to do their job better.
Sure.
And I'm not saying that my way I do things is perfect. I think it does a really good job for my clients and the consumers to really understand the educational process of what we're trying to help them with versus every time you get on the phone and repeat yourself. So, man, just remember to have fun, dude. You get one life. Like,
it's true.
I would like to end it with this: is that you go to all these events and these people are telling you how much money and how much volume they do, and not only would I ask them, hey, what's your overhead, but how many times have you to get up from the kitchen table to leave and go do something, or how many trips didn't you go on, or how many things did you miss of your kids not being able to go spend time with them, and really, why? Because you wanted the awards. There, if you build good systems, you can make the same amount of money and work less.
That's right. That's right.
And a lot of people need to understand that in today's society is that it's about how much time you're putting into the things that matter.
That's perfect, man. Well, I mean, John's story, ladies and gentlemen, and I believe that he is an example of what it's like to provide more value than what you're actually charging so that there is no question as to whether anything is justified or not. John, I want to thank you again, brother. We will continue to catch up. Dude, I hope everything continues to go well for you. Next time you're in town, hit me up.
Well, let's get something together, bro. Let's get it on the books.
Let's get it on the books.
Better to do it now than later. We can talk about it, but we might as well just get it on the books.
Let's be about it. Good deal. I'll reach out to you soon.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
Later.